necromancy, glass slippers, and queers. Oh my. Today we are doing something a little bit different. I have quite the review video for you guys. Um, I just want to dive right in because I got some things to say and this book is crazy. So I'm gonna pause you right here. Huge spoiler alert, I will be talking about the entire book. So if you haven't read the book yet, you want to be surprised, you don't want any spoilers, click out of this video now. So I'm gonna start off by saying I've seen a lot of really negative reviews of this book. And people are allowed to say what they want, they're allowed to feel how they want, but I think a lot of people have reviewed this book from a adult perspective when this is a YA book. Start by saying that so you guys are viewing my review from the appropriate lens. I am reviewing this from a YA perspective and I am not reviewing this as an adult book because it's not. So it's been 200 years since wonderful Cinderella has died. She's dead, she's gone, she's in a mausoleum, it's over with, right? So this kingdom where they live, teen girls are required to go to this ball. Um, I think like when they're like 16, 15 or 16, they're required to go to this ball where they're selected as wives by the men of the kingdom. And it's I like how there's almost like a religious undertone. So like the book Cinderella is like their Bible. Like they literally have to have a mandated copy of it in their home. They have to know all the text. Like it's giving, and I hate to make this comparison, it's giving like YA fantasy The Handmaid's Tale. Like that was the first thing I got. I was like, whoa, like pause, pause. So the story follows along this girl named Sophia. That's Sophia on the cover. It is her time to go to this ball, get her husband, get her man, whatever. She's not feeling it. She's like, yeah, no, it's not what I'm gonna do. There's this girl that she's into, and I mean, I did not know that this book was queer, but like, first chapter, queer. So that was really nice to see. So she's obviously a whiny 16-year-old. She's trying to convince her little girlfriend, like, hey, let's run away. We can get out of the kingdom. We don't have to stay here. We don't have to do this. And the girlfriend's just like, nah, nah. Like, I'm not about to risk my life, my family's life. Like, we just need to follow the rules. Like, this is done. This is over with. We just need to go to this ball, get our husbands, and accept that this is our fate. And Sophia's not, she's not feeling that. So they get to the ball. Um, Again, Sophia's just like, yeah, nah. Long story short, she ends up running away and she ends up hiding in Cinderella's mausoleum. So she ends up meeting this girl named Constance, who is actually like a descendant of one of the evil stepsisters. They're not actually evil, but we'll talk about that later. So her and Constance end up like running away, trying to figure out how to escape this trapped society. Like it's either you do or you die. Like literally, if you don't follow along with the rules, you're not dressed appropriately for this ball, they call you a forfeit, and you are taken away and killed. I really like how there's just so much talk of rebellion and they're talking about government control and all those things, and it's just the 16-year-old girl is just like fed up with having to watch all the women in her family and just everyone around her live in this crazy ass society, and everybody just thinks it's okay. So Sophia and her new friend Constance are on the run and they set out to find the fairy godmother. The fairy godmother. Again, we'll come back to that. So, like a fairy tale, they travel through these magical woods to find the fairy godmother, and they find her. And they start talking to the fairy godmother, like talking about, how is it possible that, the king after king after king have been able to do this and no one has rebelled. And the fairy godmother said this quote that like I really like, and I want to read this. She said, if you drop a frog in a pot of boiling water, it will jump out. But if you stoke the fire slowly, it will allow itself to be boiled to death. Deep. So they find out that the fairy godmother is actually more of a witch than she is a fairy. Um, because again, she's alive 200 years later. She was the fairy godmother that was there for Cinderella the night that Cinderella went to the ball, and now it's 200 years later, and this fairy godmother is still alive. And she is the only living person so far that we know of, that has any answers about Cinderella. And the girls think that if they can get some answers, maybe they can figure out how to like tear down this kingdom. So here's where the story gets really crazy. Lots of plot twists. First of all, Cinderella was a badass. The night of Cinderella's ball, Cinderella was going to Prince Charming. Like she was on a mission. She had weapons, potions, like she was ready. But come to find out, the fairy godmother was playing both sides and was actually working for Prince Charming. So at the very last minute, she gave Cinderella a love potion. So as soon as Cinderella got to the ball with her plan to Prince Charming, as soon as she laid eyes on him, she fell in love. So of course, she didn't get to Prince Charming because she fell in love. But the potion was temporary, but we'll come back to that. So they're just like talking through all this trauma. The girl Constance, who is a descendant of the evil stepsisters, is just talking about how like her ancestors were wrongfully betrayed, and her ancestors were like these badasses that were working with Cinderella to try and take down the prince. Lots of girl power, period. But the book, the mandated copy of Cinderella that was forced to be in everyone's home in this kingdom, portrayed them as the bad guys, but they were not. Prince Charming was actually the. So fast forward, they hatched this plan. They're like, okay, we're gonna do some necromancy. We need to bring Cinderella back to life so we can ask her what the hell happened. So they do. They go to her mausoleum and they bring Cinderella back to life after she's been in there dusty for 200 years. But when they open up her little tomb, her body is almost pristine. Like she's not dust. Her body is still there. So obviously there's some magic going on. Only one person that could have did that. So Cinderella is just disoriented because she was brought back to life after 200 years. So they really don't get any answers about her. So yeah, they put her back in her mausoleum, whatever. Bye. Sorry for waking you. So fast forward a little bit more. Here's where we get some more of the queer romance. Sophia and Constance start to fall for each other. You know, they got a little spark going. But old girl Sophia is still worried about the ex that like literally told her like, no, I don't want to be with you. I'd rather go get forced to have this husband. I don't want you, sis. So of course, Sophia, being the annoying 16-year-old that she is, risks their entire plan, says forget the new girl, goes back to the kingdom to find her ex and say goodbye, and almost gets caught. I had to remind myself that this is a YA book. This is a 16-year-old. 16-year-olds are gonna do dumb stuff. But whew, I was mad. I was mad. Like, really? Y'all literally just brought Cinderella back from the dead. From the dead. For 200 years. And y'all brought her back from the dead. So y'all can try and figure out how to stop Prince Charming. And you just risked the whole plan to go back and see your ex that flat out told you she don't want you. Now, sis. So then it gets worse. Like, girl Sophia, she's been begging her ex the whole book, please come with me. Let's run away. Let's leave. Let's get out of here. Let's go. And when she goes to say her final goodbyes, the ex is like, oh, why didn't you take me with you? She was literally trying to take her with her from the very first chapter. So now we're at like the turning point. They have this plan to get in the castle and kill, the king. I kind of slipped up earlier. Come to find out, the king is not a new person. It's actually still Prince Charming. He's been alive for 200 years, but just bear with me. So the fairy godmother, she's like all boo-hooey and like feeling guilty and stuff because, like she gave Cinderella the love potion. She failed to stop Prince Charming the first time, so she's giving Sophia the opportunity to do what Cinderella couldn't because Cinderella took a love potion. So they got this plan. They sneak into the castle. The prince is pissed. He knows that this girl ran away, Sophia. He's trying to like find out where she is so he can kill her. So he decides to throw a ball. Well, Sophia being Sophia, she dresses up and she goes to the ball, knowing that she's like the most wanted person in the kingdom. So obviously Prince Charming sees her. There's like a huge battle. She ends up like stabbing him and he doesn't die. Come to find out, the fairy godmother is actually Prince Charming's mom. And this whole time, she was working with Prince Charming. She literally delivered Sophia right to Prince Charming. I was shook to my core. And come to find out, it has something to do with the necromancy spell, the same spell that they did with Cinderella, where the person that performs the spell is bound to the corpse. So for whatever reason, uh Fairy Godmother brought her son Prince Charming back from the dead, and they're now bound to each other. So if one of them dies, the other one dies. So of course she's not gonna let Sophia kill him because then she dies too. But obviously, in a turn of events, um, Fairy Godmother dies in this battle, so Prince Charming dies too. And everyone lives happily ever after. Prince Charming's dead, Fairy Godmother's dead. A lot of the village people were like, yeah, no, like, we're still gonna abide by this Cinderella law. But now all of the future generations are given a chance to live normal lives. And yeah, that's it. I like that it had a happy ending. Obviously, it's a YA book and it technically is a fairy tale, so I do like that they got a little happily ever after. I really enjoyed this book. It was crazy. It was a wild ride. Um, she has another book coming out that's like based off of Snow White, and there was also some foreshadowing in this book about Snow White. Like they had a fairy tale book in here, and they're like, "Oh yeah, like I've heard of these other stories from other kingdoms," and the fairy godmother was like, "Oh, those aren't real." So I'm hoping that the future books by this author kind of tie into this one. I'm just really excited to see what she does with this like fairy tale universe. Overall, I would recommend the book. If you want to be stressed out a little bit, you know, it's a good book. But the story is, I don't know, I almost said fun. The story is like easy to keep up with. It's a easy read, you know, you don't have to like work too hard to read it. Very interesting story, keeps you in. I was able to read it in one night because I needed to know what happened next. But that's it for today. Thank you for listening to me rant about this book for God knows how long. If you have any questions or comments, drop them down below. As always, don't forget to subscribe and check me out on my other platforms. I look forward to seeing you guys back for another book review. Bye.